Hello, my dude and my dudette. I hope you guys are doing well. I thought for today's video, I would briefly talk to you about one of my favorite books. I think when I counted, I had close to 300 books. I haven't gotten to all of them. A lot of them I got from Carl when he passed away, so I haven't really looked at those. Some of them have just sort of been sitting on my shelf looking pretty. But of the ones that I've gone through, one of the ones that has stood out to me has been this book on heaven. So I think a lot of times there are a lot of misconceptions about heaven, and heaven isn't really talked about a whole lot in churches and among Christians. I think a lot of times we think, I know growing up there was the show Tom and Jerry about the cat always chasing the mouse and he could never quite get him, but there was always like a scene where which one's the cat? It's Tom, right? I think it's Tom. Anyway, whoever the cat was, he might explode and then they'd show him going up to heaven on a cloud playing a harp, and that's kind of, I guess that's how you play a harp. I don't know the technique, but that's sort of how we view heaven, that we're just kind of floating on a cloud for all eternity, maybe playing a harp. But that's not that's not the picture that heaven gives us. So it does a very good job at sort of focusing your sights on heaven. Paul talks about in Colossians 3 setting our minds on things that are above, not things that are on the earth. Sometimes we get so worked up about things that, 10 years from now, they're not going to matter, let alone 100 years from now. And so we need to be living in the light of eternity, and thinking about heaven is going to energize us to live for the Lord, to live for his kingdom, because the things that matter are going to be at the forefront of our mind. And so we're going to have our priorities straight if we're thinking about heaven. But the other thing is, it really kind of helps to fill in some of the gaps. He doesn't make things up about heaven, but you just sort of, some of the things he goes over makes you realize, oh, wow, heaven is going to be really amazing. I mean, if you think about it, God, the God who gave us taste buds is the same God that created heaven. And so, I mean, there's so many things here we enjoy, like, food, eating. It could be just this boring, mundane thing where food's gray and then you got to swallow a pill. But we've got steak, we've got spaghetti, we've got chicken fingers, all kinds of delicious food, and those are things that God gave us to enjoy. He gave us bodies so we could enjoy recreational activities, so we could play basketball, so we could play football, so we could wrestle in the yard, so we could play instruments, not just the harp on a cloud, but any other instrument. And so part of the reason he gave us those things, well, he did that to show that he's a loving God, that he's a creative God, but it's a foretaste of what heaven is going to be like. It's a very small picture of how great it's going to be in his presence, that if he's seated on his throne and we're here, not that he's not with us, but this is it's a fallen world and we can't fully enjoy God's presence. But to be in his presence, it just magnifies those joyful things, the good things that are on earth. The best memory that you have here it doesn't compare to the worst memory you could possibly have in heaven. So I haven't finished the book yet. I've read a good bit of it. But yeah, I just thought I'd talk to you a little bit about that book, but it's simply called Heaven by Randy Alcorn. So I'll probably talk to you guys about some more of my books in later videos, but that's just what I want to talk to you about tonight. Love you guys.